Why is content marketing important? Let's go back to the research. Let's look at what Facebook has found. Now we know the stress and anxiety that money causes, but Facebook did a study looking particularly at the millennial market recently. And they found that about 2/3, or 2 out of every 3 people, millennials in particularly, want their financial institution to be their partner that guides them to a better future. That's great. That's very good news. But there's a gap. And here's the gap. People traditionally, and particularly millennials, don't trust banks and credit unions. What Facebook found in this study is that there's just a lack of trust across the board. And I think the one stat that hits the closest to me and really stabs me in the heart is that only 8% of millennials trust financial institutions for guidance. And we as credit unions get lumped under that umbrella. Once again, the question is why, but then also who are millennials looking to for that trust? It's Google. So when a millennial has a question, when a millennial has a concern about their financial situation, they go to Google for the answers. Now, we take this research, we go to Google, and we see the rise of all of these non-traditional financial brands entering the marketplace. How can we rise above that as credit unions? How can we leap ahead? Because in a study from Bain & Company found that about 1/3 of consumers shared they trust at least one tech company more than they trust their current financial institution. And about half, or 1 out of every 2 people, shared that they trust at least one tech company more than banks in general. So the issue that we have at hand today is financial stress and anxiety and this lack of trust. And the root of all of this resolves and stems from what I call narcissistic marketing, which has been prevalent in the financial services space, and yes, even us as credit unions. And narcissistic marketing is a holdover from the previous days of broadcast marketing, where the messages were about us, what we had to bring to the marketplace. And it looks something like this, and we model this out. A financial institution, a credit union, might have a solution to a generic problem for a mass market in the communities that they serve. And that market might be called to action, and that's it. That's the end of the story. Now, who's the hero in that type of a narrative? Who's that story about? It's the financial institution. It's the credit union. And we see that prevalent in the days of old. But Mad Men is no longer the way forward. Mad Men marketing of TV and radio and print. If we go back and you recall the 9th grade history lesson and the literature lessons that we had, there can only be one true hero in a story. And we're not the heroes. Credit unions can no longer be the heroes in the narratives that we tell. Because there can be a hero and there can be an anti-hero. But there can only be one hero. And that is not us. That is not us. We hold the keys to a much bigger role in the lives of consumers. And so if people are going to Google, they're looking for someone that they can trust, how does content marketing bridge this trust gap? Well, before we get to that answer, let's look at what NewsCred has found. NewsCred found that 1 out of every 5 consumers trust content written by financial institutions. That means 4 out of 5 consumers don't trust content written by financial institutions. Instead, what they found is that consumers trust content written by expert financial journalists because there's some objectivity in that writing. There's some objectivity in the insights that are being shared. And the way that consumers shop has changed forever. Think about yourselves for a moment. Think about your own buying behaviors and patterns. 81% of bank shopping journeys start online according to Bankrate.com. Now, if we look at the mortgage product by itself, that number goes up even higher to about 90 to 95% of those shopping for a mortgage starting that journey online. So life was really good before the internet for us credit unions. It was a very simple buying journey. But as we've moved forward to a post-internet world where there's a lot more points on the buying journey, it has made things complicated and more complex for us to operate in this environment. So let's look at where we've been. The legacy buying journey was broadcast marketing, TV, radio, print, direct mail, driving someone into a branch with, for lack of a better word, a narcissistic storyline. It was about us, our products, our great rates, our amazing service. And so as someone moved into the branch, they got the loan, they got the deposit, life was good, we all went home happy. But there's a problem. That funnel type of methodology, that funnel type of business model is dead. And a new one has emerged thanks to the rise of digital and the internet. Now, when we look at this idea of the consumer buying journey, once again, our research at Digital Growth Institute has found that about 84% of financial brands have not mapped out these digital buying journeys. And what does that mean? Once again, we're operating in a blind state. It's like trying to navigate through the woods on a dark night. Sooner or later, we're going to run into a tree and someone's going to get hurt. So we've talked a little bit about why content marketing is important. Let's talk about where we can go from here to break free from this. Let's talk about what you can do at your credit unions to solve this problem, both for us as a credit union, but more importantly for the people in the communities that we serve. Now, all of this gets back to mapping the consumer journey to the brain. So let's move out of our own worlds and move into just the general consumer's brain. There are 3 parts to the brain that it's important to understand. There's the neocortex. That is the thinking brain. We spent a lot of time studying this over the last few years. Now, the thinking brain is the analytical brain, it is the logical brain, it is full of ration and reason. My wife will tell you, though, I don't have a neocortex. That part is missing. On the flip side, my wife, her limbic system, the feelings part of the brain, that is working perfectly for her. Because the limbic system, the feelings brain, that's where emotions lies. That's where memories and relationships are stored. And the last part of the brain that is important to understand is the reptilian part of the brain, the survival brain. It's the fight or flight. It's the friend or foe. It's the yes or no. I call it in the digital world, it's the binary brain. Can I trust you? That's a 1 or a 0. That's a true or a false. And so when we understand these 3 different parts of the brain, we can start to overlay how content marketing can be utilized to speak directly into each one of these areas. So go back to the reptilian part of the brain. It begs the question, can I trust you? The limbic part of the brain, the limbic system, it asks the question, how do you make me feel? And so if we can earn trust in the oldest part of the brain, yes, I trust you, then we can move to the limbic system, and that's where we can answer the question, how do you make me feel? Good, positive. People are looking for help and hope. We finally have permission to answer the question to the last part of the brain. How can you help me? Because I trust you, you make me feel good. Now you, as a credit union, can talk to me, the consumer, about your rates and your products because you've earned my trust and you've made me feel good in this buying journey. Trust is the glue in the pyramid of human relationships. The very foundation of the pyramid of human relationships is respect. Help me when I have a need, not when you have a need as a credit union. At the pinnacle of the pyramid of the human relationships is love. Now, if you go back and read the studies of the old Greeks, there are actually 5 different types of love. For today's example, we're going to look at love as just, I'm ready to commit to you. I'm ready to apply for a loan or open an account. But to bridge the gap between respect and love, that's trust. And trust is nothing more built upon your communication as a credit union. It's your communication, it's what you say, and then it's the actions that follow. So it's what you say and what you do. That's how we build trust. And we have to think about that in a digital operating environment, particularly if we're not seeing people on a day in and a day out basis. We can still build trust through communication, and communication is done through content marketing. And so a new model and a new methodology arises that we call story selling. No longer is narcissistic marketing going to hold us back, because now we can take on a new role in today's digital consumer buying journey. And it looks something like this. A consumer persona has specific questions and concerns, who meets an empathetic and helpful guide that must first build trust. And the way that we build trust digitally is through content marketing. It's through content. And once we have that trust, we can then offer a solution, call that persona to action, and guide them to a bigger, better, and brighter future. So what role do we take on? The helpful guide. Every story worth telling and remembering has an empathetic and helpful guide. We as credit unions, the opportunity for us is to become the Obi-Wan Kenobis, the Mr. Miyagis, the Yodas, and the lives of the people that we serve. And it all comes down to building trust. Remember this, people don't buy our products and services. What they're buying is a shortcut to help them get beyond that stress and that anxiety, the questions and concerns that hold them back, and they're looking for that person, that guide, that Obi-Wan, to create and help them get to a bigger, better, and brighter future. Empathy. Empathy is a key role. It is a competitive advantage, actually, along with emotional intelligence in today's digital world. And the way that we can be empathetic to the people in the communities that we serve is through the content that we produce and share with them. So it is my hope, it is my goal, it is my challenge to encourage you to offer help and hope to the people in the communities that you serve with content marketing. Your credit union is guiding people along this journey. So that begs the question. We've talked about content marketing up to this point, but what is content marketing? I feel it is very important for credit unions to define this academically first, because otherwise everyone at the credit union takes on their own definition of content marketing. So content marketing is this. It is a well-defined process used to create and distribute helpful content on a consistent basis to grow your credit union, to generate leads for loans, to nurture those leads, and convert those leads. Content marketing helps you build trust with consumers by positioning your credit union as the financial matters expert that can guide consumers beyond their questions to a bigger, better, and brighter future.